Like, do we push him to the back or what? Because I don't want his hype to die down.
Now you're telling us the next week that they're scum of the earth, and we need you to think.
Everybody gets a moment. Everybody gets their little shine. Everybody. Hey, Dirt Sheet Radio Nation. I'm Sam Schluter, your host, along with my friend, your friend, everybody's friend, CJ Carter. Brittany got the night off. It's just us two again. Hola, amigo. Let's get right into it. Finish your thought.
Smackdown blue shirt tonight.
That's right, baby. Hey, finish your thought, because he was already like, I'm like, save it for the show, baby. Save it for the show.
We'll talk about that. Probably a better fit for talking about the opening segment. I'll make those comments when the time comes. Let's get into the main event.
Man, I mean, I felt like we got a double bubble, because usually around the 9:30 mark, 30 minutes to go, that's when the main event starts. And then, they sprinkle in a couple of ads in there and whatnot. And then, they go home around, 10 o'clock for me, Eastern time. But today it was like we got the LA Knight versus versus AJ Styles. And I thought that, oh, that's the main event. And then all of a sudden, bam, then the main event happened. So I like that. And what were your thoughts on that?
Well, and when they announced the match, I definitely didn't think it was going to go second last.
Oh,
with Solo getting an so for me, it's more of a extra treat. Two stacked main event matches back to back. I mean, AJ Styles and LA Knight, before they made it a fatal four-way match, I definitely thought it was going to be Knight versus Styles at the Rumble, as opposed to a random episode of Smackdown. And they're gonna run it back somewhere down the road, probably Elimination Chamber. That would be a great match to have on that card. Because we need a definitive winner. We need them to be able to let this grow. Do you think they're going to keep this feud going heading into WrestleMania, or just until it's one and done?
No, I probably think this would probably be like a knot in the ever long yarn that is the story of the bloodline. It's just another little knot in there. They just tie off. It'll probably be
but I mean, like, for Styles and Knight, like, or is that gonna?
After
think there's gonna be one and done?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're gonna be a part of this little bloodline up to the Royal Rumble, and then after the Royal Rumble, they'll probably do like a one-on-one feud without everybody else. It might continue. So I think, it'll carry on after the.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. But, earlier we seen Roman come out backstage, and he was saying, you got to make this is wrong. I thought he was already going to snap like a twig on the Uso. And, Solo Sikoa says, I'm the heir to the throne. I'll take care of it. I'll fix it. And that's how we fast forward to the main event where he made it and, calling out Randy Orton. And I was like, oh yeah, because Randy Orton is just, he's Randy Orton, man. You could just throw him anywhere and anytime, and he's going to swim with the sharks and dive with the submarines, as you say. But I like the way it's going. I like the writing. I like how they're throwing new pieces into the puzzle every week, and then which is keeping us on our toes. We don't know how it could go. We could always say, I knew this and I knew that, but like, as I told you before, it was, it's just a little piece of the story. The man soap opera goes on, And when, you know, you got Nick Aldison in and the little disrespect by Roman, he signs it, he throws it on the floor, you know. Randy Orton, you know, he takes that first Superman punch like a veteran, but, you know, that's not going to keep Randy Orton down. So Roman should have known. And I just love that little smooth transition to anything could become an RKO. So, and then the way Randy just signs it and puts it right there in front of his face, you know, that's storyline gold right there. I don't, French chef kiss, as we say. Like, I don't know what more the fans, what can you complain about it? You know, there's always room for improvement anywhere, but for right now, it's good to go.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it, and looking forward to the Royal Rumble next weekend.
Oh yeah,
I thought the match tonight between Solo and Orton was definitely great. It was a great showcase for Solo. He's been on a tear ever since beating John Cena, which unfortunately hasn't really worked out well for him on the win-loss record. But as far as still coming across as the enforcer of the bloodline and having that sort of badass streak sort of mentality, it's good to see that they're still keeping him strong. I had a complete brain fart and just completely lost where I was going.
But I was thinking, I was thinking, as you said, is AJ and LA Knight, are their storyline gonna continue? You know, after the Royal Rumble. Now, I think after the Royal Rumble, Solo and Randy Orton, and that's gonna be a good feud for Solo, and you know, and then Roman goes on to the next chapter on the road to beating Hulk Hogan's you know, reign. So that I just want to put that in there.
I hope whoever it is that Reigns goes against at WrestleMania,
I'm the biggest,
whether it's The Rock, whether it's Cody Rhodes, whether it's both, I just don't want to see Roman Reigns hold the title any longer. I think if they continue on the Bloodline story, it doesn't need to include the Universal title. I would rather see a championship match on a more regular basis than I would particularly Roman Reigns. Not to say that Roman Reigns is a bad champion or a terrible superstar. I just don't care anymore. Like, I want to see meaning come back to that championship, and that has to be defended on a regular basis.
I'm the biggest.
And if Roman isn't going to be the one to do it, then
I'm the biggest Hulk Hogan fan there is, right? And even I want Roman to surpass Hulk Hogan. We are here now. Why stop now? There's no way in Blue Heaven he's gonna beat anybody more than Hulk Hogan's title reign. It's just this generation can't stand a 8-year run like Bruno Sammartino. That is out the question. But he could beat Hulk Hogan's title reign, and I'm all for it, because the way the storytelling is happening right now is kind of like old school Superstars WWF, because like Hulk Hogan didn't really put up his title, you know, every week or every, you know, he did the 30 days and it was a lot of story time. And
he still put in more than one match every 3 months.
Yeah, but you know, this is different. You know what I'm saying? The Roman's a different person, and it's just
it is different, but that's because society is different.
And it's a different it's a different phase in the story. It's a different phase in the story, CJ. Like before, when he first got the title, we always see Roman. We seen Roman and now it's like, okay, you can't see him all the time because now he's going into the 3rd year. But
because he
This
signed
is
a
where
new
we
contract.
disagree. This is where we disagree. You say no, drop it at Mania or drop it before. The quicker the better. And I say no, let the gravy train roll on, brother. Let's go. I want it.
I mean,
want it
I agree that San Martino's record isn't going to be broken by Roman Reigns or
never,
anybody. It's just not
never.
feasible. Society has changed too much. Technology has advanced too far, and the benefits or uh, can't think of the word, but whatever is the opposite of benefits, the detriment
No,
to society
because in
that
your heart of
that
hearts,
technology has advanced.
and in your
Because
heart
I
of
know in
hearts,
my heart of
you can say,
hearts that
yeah, that
people don't want to
Roman,
see an
Roman.
8-year title reign because they don't have the attention span. But yes, essentially, it's got to come to a head sooner or later. That's just a fact of life.
Look it, we got the Rock in the mix, and and he could come in whenever he wants, and he already dropping little hints, and I don't know. See, we could all sit back, and that's the joy of it. We could sit back and guess and think but we really don't know, and that's that's what I like about it. But man, it just has an old school feel. The way they're ending things, the way they starting off shows, the way they're ending things. They're heavy on the little backstage segments. It reminds me of reminds me of Superstars a little bit. Reminds me of Attitude Era. Um, and I'm just here for the ride. I love it. I love it. But we all seen the contract signing in the beginning, and I think that was great. Paul Heyman, beautiful. Nick Aldis is there. They're giving jabs back and forth. The brouhaha battle starts off in the beginning. What did you think? How was it? Did you think lately? This is the platform, right? They start off with a little story in the beginning that tells us what's going to happen in the end. They give us a match and they sprinkle a little bit more of the bloodline and whatever else in Judgment Day. So last few weeks, last month or so or whatever, that's how they've been doing. What have you been thinking about the way they've been, running the show and doing that? And are you thinking at all about it, or are you just deep into the story and, enjoying popcorn? You got me? You hear me? You okay?
Sam, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you
Go
here.
ahead.
My technology is not working with me for whatever reason. My internet just isn't holding up well tonight. I did not catch a word of what you just said for about the past 90 seconds. I
All right.
I have no idea what you just asked me or what sort of segue
I
you
was
threw my
asking.
way. I
I
don't know where we're at right now.
No, I was asking what were your thoughts on how they been running it. They start off with a little story in the beginning. They sprinkle in some matches, and we only had like 4 matches tonight, and then they throw in some more bloodline story, and then it tells us what's going to happen at the main event. So it gives me little Attitude Era vibes and stuff. So I was asking, what was your opinion on how they've been running the show like that the last few weeks?
Yeah, definitely post Kevin Dunn era is still finding its footing, but there were a couple little things that I noticed throughout the show, different productional stuff here and there. I kind of a little bit out of like I wasn't looking for a lot of things, but it was just like little stuff in the lower thirds where they mentioned AJ Styles as the Grand Slam champion, which again they did like a full side of the screen going through his accolades when he came out for his match, but just that little sort of fun fact part of his nameplate. I thought we would have seen more throughout the show, but nothing really stood out to me. Um, and I think they must have changed fonts with some of them because I noticed the during the women's title match, they put up the little thing on the screen saying Women's Tag Team Championship, but it was like a different looking font. But yeah, I think it's a lot of little things that are tweaking here and there. Nothing is going to fundamentally change, but I don't hate anything of it. I still don't get the AR graphics that I don't get. Like, I, as a TV watcher, don't get anything added to the show. Like, they do nothing for me. And the audience live there can't see them, so they're not getting anything out of it. So I guess we can kind of pose that question to those watching live. If you like the AR graphics, if you don't, why not? Let us know, and we can feature some of your comments throughout the show.
Right.
But no, like nothing that I saw was really anything to balk at or think, oh, this detracted my appreciation for the show. Like, I'm happy with how it looks, and but I say that this week, and it could be completely different next week. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, I like how they're carrying the show and how the format's laying out. You know, the story in the beginning and the little matches here and there. I like the way they're carrying it. Let's move along. Pretty Deadly versus Tyler Bate, and then a little pause, and yes, he's back. Pete Dunne.
We didn't cover LWO versus Legato.
You're right. See how excited I was about Pete Dunne. I just
hey, I'm happy to see Pete Dunne back too. But or do you want to talk about this match and then circle back to LWO Legato?
Even though the Pete Dunne match was a little shorter than the LWO match, let's stay with the Pete Dunne because I already said it. Pete Dunne is back. I love Pete Dunne. You're crazy for Pete Dunne. Like, who doesn't love Pete Dunne? And I was watching it.
Well, Pretty Deadly doesn't love Pete Dunne.
And the first thing that popped in my mind was the memes from a few years ago or whatever. Pete Dunne's not going to WrestleMania, but Butch is. And then I was like, oh, this year Butch ain't going to WrestleMania, but Pete Dunne is. So for the first time, we're gonna get Pete Dunne in a WrestleMania, and I think he got a little pop. I think everybody was pleasant to see Pete Dunne back. I was pleasant to see it. I popped a little bit. So, you know, I know you're excited about it. Tell me what you thought about it. Was it in the proper light? Was it a proper timing?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, I'm happy to see Pete Dunne shed the name Butch. It was one of those things that it shouldn't have affected his overall presentation, but for me, it did. I thought going from Pete Dunne to Butch was a significant downgrade, even though they were putting him with Sheamus and Ridge Holland, which I'm still kind of bummed that they dissolved the Brawling Brutes and Sheamus wasn't even around for it. But that's neither here nor there. Great match here with Pretty Deadly, and I'm very impressed with Tyler Bates' offense. It's incredibly creative. Even just very early on, like opening seconds of the match, Bate offering his foot in a bait for Kit Wilson, and then he ends up turning it into an offensive move. And I thought that was very creative, very impressive, very well executed, as we've kind of come to expect out of a guy like Tyler Bate. And I think Logan Paul is going to retain at the Royal Rumble, So if they wanted to throw Pete Dunne's name into the mix as a potential U.S. title contender, or Tyler Bate as a U.S. title contender, both men I think would do very well for themselves.
Yeah, I like that. I'd agree with that. I was just excited they got the win. Of course, I knew Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne was going to win. It's Pretty Deadly. Our friend Jared Garrett said Pretty Deadly should have won. I'm sorry, Jared. You're the homie. You support. Thanks for tuning in, but that's where we disagree, my friend. All right. Before that was LWO versus the Trader and the new faces.
Legado del Fantasma.
Legado del Fantasma. I put Lotharios del Fantasma because they were the Lotharios. And now they're the Lotharios.
Let the Lotharios die, man. If Max
Right.
Dupree can die and rest in peace, then so can Los Lotharios.
Listen, Pete Dunne did a Max Dupree, right? He took a name. He went with the ocean. He went with the waves.
That is an incredibly. That is a whole other can of worms, but it is absolutely not a Max Dupree.
No, it's not. It's not. But like Max Dupree took that name and he worked with it, and he got LA Knight now. He's working with it, and hey, he got Butch. He worked with it. He went with the waves and the oceans, and now he's back to Pete Dunne. So it's kind of like similar in that sense. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So LWO, hey, Carlito, man, he hit a nice move. Little backstabber, but it was a distraction. Also, he could get rolled up. The story continues between them. I kind of wanted to end, and I want the LWO to go up against somebody else. Why it has to be Latino on Latino violence at this point. This story kind of dragged out quite a bit.
I'm not going to speak on Latino violence because I feel like that's not my partship. But I think this match in particular is a great demonstration of the presentation between NXT and SmackDown of what they're willing to let their superstars do. Because even I had the thought running through my head during the match. I wonder how far Joaquin Wilde could leap up the SmackDown stage. Like, he's so good. Both those guys are so good. They're such an underrated team, and they kind of get a little bit of that feeling when you watch them on SmackDown, but you really get a feeling for it when you watch them on NXT. And I don't know if it's because they think the relationship between Shawn Michaels and Triple H is strong enough to let, for basically Triple H to say, look, Shawn, you do NXT, I'll handle the shareholders if they have a problem with it. But I don't know, maybe it's just because they're the developmental guys. But yeah, it's definitely a wilder show on NXT, and it feels like it shouldn't be, but that's just how it is.
Well, that's because it's a more confined atmosphere. It's more controlled, surroundings. So you get a more, more concentrated feel. And I agree with you. These guys, man, they're great wrestlers. They're great entertainers. But, at this point, I'm starting to look away because the feud for me is just running a little too long. That's it. I don't take nothing away from their athleticism or nothing away from the story. I just think the story could have finished a little bit, 2 weeks ago, and they probably could have continued and moved on somewhere else, because I feel like the big payoff for that story was with Rey Mysterio. And now as Rey Mysterio is not really around, so
Well, and until he gets back, I don't think we're going to really see a resolution between Mysterio and Escobar. So hopefully they're able to, like, obviously not continue LWO versus Legado the entire time
Right,
Ray's recovering. But
right.
yeah, I agree. Let's see them mix it up with some other teams. Honestly, I would rather see LWO down in NXT where they can continue to do more of more of the action that I love seeing. Like, again, I don't have a problem with their presentation on SmackDown, but I would love to see them do more of what they do in NXT.
Nah, I agree with you, and they'll be. I mean, they're good right now, but if they go down for a few months down in NXT, their brand is only going to get more better. They're going to polish up more. They're going to get more fans to carry back over when they do come back. But I mean, it'll be like a little jump shot, not jump shot, but a jump start, again for them. It'll happen a little bit more quicker if they do it that way. I feel it's just my opinion. Than if they stay here in SmackDown still facing each other, facing the same people over and over. Next came up the KO show. Whoo, KO. Listen, first thing I seen when Logan Paul came out, first thing that came up to my mind was he's this generation's Miz. And that's not like a bad thing. Just like now he's becoming this generation's
He's
Miz.
sorry, my internet didn't.
My
internet cut out at just the wrong moment. He's this generation's
Miz.
Oh, okay.
Miz.
Gotcha. Which, yeah, I mean that's perfectly valid. I when he came out, the only thought that I had going through my head was, I must be really good at separating the artist from the art, because as much as I respect Logan Paul's athleticism and his ability to market himself and build himself as a brand, and his promo work, his in-ring work, like, he is a hell of a superstar. I will give him that.
Yep.
He is a dog shit human being, but he is a solid wrestler. So I don't have a problem with giving my thoughts on Logan Paul in the ring or out of the ring. But I gotta say, he is doing all the right things. He is gonna have a hell of a career by the time he's done.
Well, he's the guest of the KO show, so KO can't use the cast. KO promises or whatever, he vows, all right, I'm not going to use the cast on Saturday, and he goes to take it off. That's when Logan Paul takes advantage and pow, gives him a clean one right across the kisser, drops him to the floor. But then KO does the Rocky Balboa technique to the ropes, getting up. Then he hits him hard.
I mean, I gotta love the fellow Canadians, like Kevin Owens, my Canadian brother. I love you, man. Why would you take the cast off now? Why would you give yourself that vulnerability for a guy that you know full well is devious enough to attack you from behind? I and don't get me wrong, I know it's scripted, but there still has to be some sort of suspension of disbelief, as far as, well, I my disbelief can only suspend so far.
I mean, I didn't mind it. You suspend your belief for a little bit. He didn't know he was gonna use swing his arm against the post. How was he gonna know that? You gotta let kayfabe live once in a while. Bring it back. I'm old
I don't
school like
know.
that.
If if WWE Medical clears him to compete with this cast, then I don't know where Logan Paul thinks he has a leg to stand on if he did decide to sue. And WWE could countersue because he signed a contract saying that he'd wrestle Kevin Owens.
He's not going to wrestle with the cast. He's not going to wrestle with the cast.
I know.
He's going to be getting his ass whooped Saturday. He's going to be getting the hand stomped on, crunched, doing everything Logan Paul's going to do it. And then KO's going to beat him and take the title. That's what I think. We're going to find out.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You think they're going to still let Logan Paul?
I think Logan is going to still walk out the champion. I think because, especially now that they've given him a title, it's really sink or swim for both the company as far as legitimizing bringing in guys like Logan Paul. Like, he's not just another celebrity stepping into the ring. He is the United States champion now. And they are going to need to make this title reign a real success if they want to pass Logan Paul off as a viable superstar. So there's no way he loses to Kevin Owens at the Rumble because the WWE can't afford to have him fail.
I mean, would it be a failure? He held the title. He did his thing. He put notoriety on it. It was all over his social media. Now it's time for a wrestler to carry the title. And Kevin Owens told him today that it's a joke. It's a joke. And it's gone too long. Too far.
If Logan Paul is serious about becoming a full-time superstar, then if Logan Paul is serious about being a full-time superstar, which unfortunately this far into his title reign, he hasn't had the best track record, but I think we will see him more and more because they'll also want him on WrestleMania. They'll want him on Elimination Chamber. They'll want him on Backlash in France.
Okay,
he'll probably come to Money in the Bank.
He don't have to have the title. He don't have to have the title. They could have him on there.
But that's what I mean. Like, he's...
You know how hard the Miz worked to bring that title back up to a prestigious level that it is today. And now Logan Paul, he won it. And actually, when Logan Paul won it, I was like, yeah, good. But now it's like, come on, dude, you ain't really did nothing with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just can't walk around with it.
Miz,
if you would have
been traded for a Pokemon card, I don't know. Title, if you would have said, if we were defending the Intercontinental title and you use the Miz as an example, I would give you your due because the Miz was an incredible Intercontinental champion. What do you mean the Miz elevated the United States Championship?
Yep, he did, because when he won the title, like, his mouth brought it back. His mouthpiece brought it back. The last time he won the title. And now that Miz this 2.0 is holding it, it ain't looking good right now. And I was supporting of it in the beginning.
John Cena's open challenges did more for the United States Championship than the Miz.
Both of them did more than what Logan Paul's doing. I think he traded it for a Pokemon card. I seen it on Twitter. Or X, or whatever it was.
I remember him walking into a pawn shop. I remember walking into a pawn shop being like, how much can I get for this?
Right. And now see, Kevin Owens probably not even going to want that title. Like, didn't he wear it naked? Come on now. He did a Shawn Michaels with it. That's
wore it in the shower.
That's about it. I'm just saying The Miz did more. John Cena did more. You know what I mean? Like, almost every United States champion done more than Logan Paul at this point. But we'll see. We'll see. I think KO's going to win. You think Logan Paul's going to win. And gentlemen's
we'll find out in 8 days.
We'll see. We'll find
gentleman's
out.
Bet. All right. Well, hey. Well, okay. If it's a gentleman's bet, something's got to be on the line here, Sam.
Just a gentleman's bet.
Would be the gentleman's bet?
Just a gentleman's bet, like, hey, a handshake and there you go.
Okay, then you're not using that term right.
No, just two
That's
gentlemen. Like I
like,
bet you, and there you go.
all right, well, maybe I'm using it wrong. We'll have to Google and find out. But no,
All right,
we'll have to wait and see how it shakes out at the Rumble.
all right. We'll move along to the women's tag championship, and man, are they putting a rocket on Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, and they are like if not at this present moment, one of the most athletic and agile tag team there is out there, man or woman, based alone on that slingshot destroyer thing they did towards the end. Like, whoa, that was crazy. And it looked like Kaden Carter was kind of like rocked there a little bit, but I don't know, it was probably just kayfabe. But I was pretty impressed with them, and Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. I always get it wrong. They did good.
That's okay.
They
So
did
did
all
Michael
right.
Cole on draft night.
Right. They they did good. They got some exposure, and I think that's just what it was for, to get some more exposure, because they were NXT champions, right? The tag team champions. But not too many people know, and I know about Alba Fire, but I didn't know too much about Isla Dawn. But I like.
Well, I can kind of fill you in a little bit because I've watched NXT for years now.
Yeah.
When Alba Fire um, was in NXT, they brought in Isla Dawn. She had been used in NXT UK, I believe, and then they brought her over. They feuded. That was Isla Dawn's first feud in NXT, was with Alba Fire, and then basically at the end of that feud, they just started teaming as a heel tag team, and then they did end up winning the NXT women's tag titles. And then fast forward, what was it, like 2 months later after draft night, and they decide to unify the women's tag titles. So they lost to Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey, and then they basically dipped. We've seen them maybe 4 or 5 times since they were drafted,
Right.
and it's unfortunate. They deserve better, and I'm glad to see that they were getting a title match against Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. But at the same time, weird for them to just call them up to prop the champions up for a match against the Kabuki Warriors,
That's what it
and
was.
then probably dip again for another 4 months.
Well, that's what it was for. They got a little exposure, and hopefully they go back down to NXT and they use that little exposure and keep it going. But Bailey was ringside commentary, and Kabuki Warriors came out at the end, teasing and taunting with the titles. I think that's going to be a good match, and I don't know. If I would necessarily pick Kaden Carter and Katana Chance against the Kabuki Warriors. I mean,
Well, and I don't think they're going to get a clean win either. I think it's going to wind up being, we can see the start of the fracture of
we've been seeing
damage control heading into the Rumble.
right.
And I mean, if we see the sort of distraction not play well next week, and then Carter and Chance end up stealing a victory that way, starting that fracture of damage control heading into the Royal Rumble would really set up a good Royal Rumble win for Bailey. But as far as the match tonight goes, I'm glad to see that they finally put a name on this tag team, the Unholy Union. It was
Yeah, I like
always
the
just
name.
Alba Fire and
Mhm.
Isla Dawn.
Yep.
I'm surprised the champs don't have a name for themselves yet, but
Right.
we'll have to wait and see. They might end up getting saddled with one. But no, great match overall, I thought.
Yeah. Now this also just popped in my mind. we've been seeing the fall of Damage Control for quite some time now, but this little last run could be the nail in the coffin for Bayley, because now the Kabuki Warriors get a shot at the title, but something, perhaps, maybe something Bayley does cost them the match, and then that's the final straw where they cut loose on Bayley. Because
Yeah, I mean, anything can
other than
happen.
them slipping on the banana peel, there's no way Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, not even with all of their, flippity doos, is going to work against two seasoned veterans like the Kabuki Warriors, like Asuka and Kairi Sane,
Former women's tag team champions in their own right.
right? Longest women champion of NXT, Asuka, and yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But man,
I think Mandy Rose broke that record.
Did they already?
No, Mandy Rose.
Oh,
yeah. So I think her second title reign ended up. I know it surpassed a year because they had a 1-year celebration for it, and I think she did end up breaking Asuka's record.
right.
I could be wrong, but I think I remember that being said. What do you guys think of phasing out the women's titles? I still think it was a mistake. I mean, I talk about how strong
the NXT women's titles.
Yeah, I think it was a mistake for them to unify those titles. I talk on a regular, like on a weekly basis of thank you for confirming that Mandy did break it.
Garrett, awesome.
But I talk on a weekly basis about how strong NXT's women's division is, and it really is the strongest in the industry. AEW has a great women's division. Raw and SmackDown, they showcase great talent, but top to bottom, NXT's women's division just has it. And it's
but is that in singles competition, or do they have the depth? They have the depth for tag team division. That's a whole other division.
No, they have the depth for singles world title, a secondary title, and a tag title in that division.
Okay.
Well, and I mean, it really is just a matter of putting in the time and effort to give them the representation. If they did NXT and NXT something else as a secondary show, bless you, because I get that Level Up is still like the pre NXT show, but I mean, if they decided to put Level Up on the network and give it proper exposure and do a proper dual brand split for NXT to kind of juggle the load to make sure everybody gets their time in, that might be an option as well. I get that there's already a full schedule, but crazier things have happened.
I think maybe they'll, closing thought on the NXT titles. We're trying not to talk about NXT too much longer. It's SmackDown rewind, excuse me. But they'll probably bring back eventually. They just maybe want to keep them going back and forth to get more season with tag teaming, and then eventually. But hey, hopefully. It was a great SmackDown, and it's about that time for Jobber of the Night. You go first, my friend. The floor is yours.
I gotta give it to Pretty Deadly this week, unfortunately. I mean, they came in so prepared, or at least they said they did, and then they had the audacity to not even know who Pete Dunne was. Like, the guy, what, you think this is an Elias Ezekiel situation? No, it's the exact same guy. And for them to still be licking their wounds and complaining about how they were not unprepared after all. Like, no, take your L's, come back next week better than before. But no, they're my jobbers of the night for sure.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I see it. I see it. But see, now this little game of ours that we have here, Jobber Tonight, I'm really you because of you. It's healthy competition because you're like, oh, I don't, you stole mine or you stole mine. So now I'm really focusing on, parts of the show where I'm like, and this goes the same for, Megastar Tonight. And I'm like, oh, CJ's not going to think about that one. Or Brittany's not going to say that one. Or, oh, I got to dig deep on that one. So here it is. My jobber tonight, Grayson Waller. And I'm going to explain why my jobber tonight is Grayson Waller. Because Carmelo Anthony came at that backstage interview and they started. We didn't talk about it earlier.
Who?
Carmelo Anthony. That's 2 weeks in a row. That's 2 weeks in a row. Swish. Carmelo Hayes.
Can even just I get through it just by saying Mello every Tuesday. That's it,
right.
Man.
All right. Mello in the backstage segment, and I like how they explained, what happened. They both bumped their heads or whatever, and he was convincing. And when he looked to the camera, did that little half an eyebrow thing, I'm good or whatnot. And then here comes Austin Theory. When they showed Austin Theory, I was like, oh, this is going to be good. But then when the camera panned out a little more, there's Grayson Waller not doing the damn thing. And that's when I thought this segment had so much potential and fire ready to be sparked. But Grayson Waller is just back there not doing the damn thing and sucking up people's spotlights. And I gotta give him the Jim Cornette gas.
I was almost about to say Austin Theory for my jobber of the night, but that was because, he talked himself into a match, tried to talk himself out of it, and then ended up getting pushed back into it. That's a rough situation. Definitely jobber of the night material. And by the way, Grayson Waller is still the star of their tag team.
Jared Garrett said his jobber tonight should be soloed. He did promise he was gonna. You know what? That is very good, Jared.
That's fair.
We forgot about that. He did promise I'm gonna fix it, and he didn't fix a damn thing. And I'm pretty sure next week in Miami, they're gonna hear about it from the tribal chief. But that leads us into listen. You're going to like this one.
Oh, am I?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
My megastar of the night goes to Austin Theory. For what? For what? For the split fucking second where Numbnuts, says he agrees with the match, and he's not even in the match. And right before they go off of the camera into the next segment, he looks at Waller and looks at her like, dude, what are you doing? I'm tired of you doing that. Stop doing stop it. So I'm like, yes. Yeah, for that, you get Megastar tonight. So you're finally looking at it like, I need to get rid of this dead weight. Like, dude, this guy is becoming a pain in the keister. Not in just your butt, but like in the viewer's butt and the hardcore fans' butt and whoever else. But yeah, Megastar tonight, Austin Theory for pausing in that split second and realizing, man, what the fuck you doing? You need to get away from me. Like, I got this. That's what I want. There it is.
Sam, this is your show.
It's not my show. It's our show. I'm just
I
saying.
mean, well,
You
no,
can
like I
win.
mean, you're the man behind the board. Like you run everything. I'm just here. But you got to start taking this more seriously, man. Austin Theory, come on. How can you even begin to justify mega stardom
Yes.
because of getting talked into a match?
Right. No. For realizing that this guy need to shut up, and he's talking out of term. He's talking out of place, and their little partnership is coming to an end, and I can't wait for it. And
I retroactively changed my pick for Jobber of the Night to Karrion Kross because he comes into this promo wearing that leather jacket that Dean Ambrose had on when he was wearing his gas mask, that style looking jacket, and he's still trying to be the mouthpiece for the Final Testament. Why would you want to be the mouthpiece to a group that Paul Ellering is in? Just let him do it. He's
because
fantastic. He sold
because
me on AOP and NXT. He
that was
knows
years
how to
ago though.
talk. Karrion Kross cannot carry a mic if his
Did you
life
see?
depended on it, and
Did you see?
unfortunately, somehow he keeps evading death.
Did you see? Paul Ellering, the whole fucking
The
promo. He's
one
like
glove.
this. The whole no, he was looking off to the side like this, like a crazy old senile old man. Like he
That's
wasn't
what
even
happens
looking.
when you don't use Paul Ellering. He just kind of starts to seize up but like
What's with the Michael
I can't
Jackson
no.
glove? What's with the one glove? He's got the one
I
glove.
don't know. I don't know, man.
All
I
right, who's your
I
megastar tonight?
I mean, we finally get them face to face, Final Testament and uh, Bobby Lashley, and I almost called him Bruce Almighty because I was thinking Almighty, and the Prophets. But no, my megastar of the night. Um, you know
See,
what? Second week in a row, I'm gonna go with
Austin,
Nick Aldis. The
Nick
fact that
Aldis.
he was willing to really flex his authority and tell Paul Heyman directly if Roman Reigns doesn't sign this contract, then he's vacated the Universal title. So for him to continue to stand up to Paul Heyman, to Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, he is definitely my megastar of the night.
Oh, Paul Heyman said Heyman said. You're mediocre in those Paul Heyman knockoff suits. Come on. Paul Heyman killed him with that line. How could Nick and I'm a big Aldis supporter. He was my megastar tonight a couple of weeks back, and he's French chef kiss to me. But that line right there, it was over. It was a dealer at the blackjack. He said, no, it's over. You just a knockoff, a mediocre trying to do Paul Heyman suits. And now Nick Aldis got some beautiful suits. I'm a suit man myself. I love them, and
Mm-hmm.
and they're real good. But that line right there, that popped right there for me. So I don't know. Not this week for Nick.
No, I thought he handled himself well because he didn't no sold all of Heyman's remarks and just let him think he was or just let him talk basically, and then when he was done, slapped him with a well, all right, he's going to vacate the title and we'll have a triple threat at the Rumble if he doesn't sign. To the point that Paul Heyman had to turn around and march down to the ring. That is the authority that Nick Aldis was flexing, and that is why he's the megastar of the night.
That's true. That's true. But I loved how the whole time all of that was happening, Randy Orton is just in the corner, like just waiting, and I'm just waiting like that on the edge of my seat, like who is gonna RKO? I think they're all gonna get an RKO. I was actually hoping everybody in that whole ring gets an RKO. That would have been awesome.
And it did happen in the main event.
It did. It did. It did. All right, buddy. Let them know where to find you.
At
Friday,
CJ Carter
Saturday.
22 on Twitter. I am going to be here every Friday night rewinding SmackDown, and every Tuesday night rewinding NXT for Dirt Sheet Radio. I will be hopefully reviewing the Royal Rumble next Saturday, and we'll see we'll see what happens after that. But yeah, NXT and SmackDown for sure.
Yep. And as always, you could find me right there, 2KWE, every Friday and Sunday, and then again on Dirt Sheet Radio. Sam Schluter, the straight shooter, for the best in virtual wrestling gamertainment. Tune in to 2KWE, all of the wrestling in virtual land that your hearts could be content to watch. And we got a big library, over 1,000 videos. So tune in to KWE. All righty. That's it for this show, man. We had a good show. Just me and you. We do a good job, and we're getting to know each other more and know what you like and what you don't like, and what I like and what I don't like, and what we agree to disagree on. And it's becoming more fun as the weeks go on. We got 52 of these shows, so
yeah, I mean, it's
I like it.
It's been fun doing SmackDown most every week, and looking forward to keep doing more SmackDown.
All right, buddy. We'll see you next week.
Like, do we push him to the back or what? Because I don't want his hype to die down.
Now you're telling us the next week that they're scum of the earth, and we need you to think.
Everybody gets a moment. Everybody gets their little shine. Everybody